This is kind of a follow-on video to a previous video where I got some super cheap lamps from the local supermarket and showed that you can crush the covers and you can actually just pop them off. Hold on, this is where I completely failed to pop them off. Hold on, crush. You pop them off and you can swap, well not swap, you can just cut out one of two resistors and you can change the power rating of the lamp. And when you do that, it will make the lamp last a lot longer. But after I'd made that video, I suddenly thought, well, you know, why don't I make new covers, 3D print new covers? And I want to stress that you don't need a 3D printer to appreciate this video, although it helps you got one. You'll find other things about the video quite interesting. However, I have created 3 openscad scripts, and you don't need to go looking elsewhere for those files. They're all here in this video down below in the description. If they fit in, which they should because they're quite short, you will find 3 scripts down below and I'll show you how to use them. They're in the description and you can use them to make custom lamps. And let me show you some of these lamps. This one is particularly unique. It's not very bright. It's designed as a night light. This is a really interesting thing. I've put another resistor into this that has changed the output power of this light from the original 8 watts down to 1/5 of a watt, which means it's ideal for decorative purposes. I mean, let's get the biggest crystal here. Keep in mind this is all mains voltage, just be careful with these. But even this one, well, I'll turn the light off and you can see this. So I'm just going to take exposure off here and then I'm going to go like that. Oh, that's far too bright. Yes, indeed, I'll put it over there where you can kind of, let's look at that. So yeah, even though it's low power and will cost virtually nothing to run a year, this would make a really nice, just decorative 24/7 light. And at the power it operates at, it's negligible. The power consumption is negligible. The LEDs are going to last forever. It's a really great project. Watch your eyes. The light is coming back. The light is back. Let's actually remember to lock the exposure this time so it doesn't yo-yo up and down. So here's another lamp. This one is using one of the hacked lights, but at a lower power than the original one, but still bright enough. This is amply bright enough to use as a hall light and things like that, but it looks great because it's got this amazing sort of crystal finish. Right, enough of that. Let's bring in, well, let's show you the shapes. So here's the diamond shape. It's completely scalable. This is the same bit of software that created this little diamond. It created this big diamond, and if desired, you can actually go really small with these. You can make tiny ones that you can literally get a standard 5mm LED and you can just stuff it up the end of it. So, you know, this is a very versatile bit of software. The diamond one is the simplest. The next file I created was this of quartz crystal thing, and you can scale this up again. You can make them thin, you can make them wide, you can adapt them in many ways. You can change the size of the base to fit into the lamp. It's all designed for that. And it's a nice visual effect. It just looks a nice pyramid shape. But the most recent one I did is this one. Well, that's also the little LED one, which is more based on a traditional lamp shape, but with that sort of quartzy crystal look to it. These are printed incidentally in transparent PLA or natural PLA. It works very well. One of the things I'm going to have to try is see if I can get some of the flame retarded stuff, because that would be a nice addition given its use in the electronic stuff. But this will show you, basically, you can make all these caps with these scripts. That's the main thing. Right, I'm going to get some of this stuff out of the way, and I'm going to get some other information in one moment, please. To create your custom covers, you're going to need to download a piece of software, if you've not got it already, called openscad. It's open source, free software that has been designed by what can only be described as mathematical geniuses. It's a fantastic piece of software. And to use the software, you actually write a script that basically tells it the shapes of each section and where it is in 3D space. It's very, very neat. And you've got a choice of 3 scripts that I've included down below. The one that creates the diamond, the one that creates the sort of obelisk crystal, and the one that creates what I describe as the globe crystal, because it's a bit shaped like a traditional globe light. And to use them, you will download the software. you will open it up and you have a window for the script and you have the window for the object that's being designed. You can move these about on the screen where you want them. You can change the colours. This is the current setup I've got, a nice dark colours, and with the script at the left-hand side and the object at the right-hand side. It's actually much bigger than this, but I slimmed it down just so we could zoom in the text a bit more, because that's kind of important here. So you want to start by clearing this window and then literally just copying and pasting the script that's down below in the description down below into it. And then you can adjust some variables. So I'm going to zoom down on this so we can actually see this better. You have, in this case, 5 variables. You only really need to adjust 3 of them. This one is for creating the globe type crystal. And the first variable is the base. The base is this bit down here, and to get that measurement you're going to take your existing lamp cap. Let me just grab one that I've cleared out here, and you're going to take a little set of digital calipers and you're going to just measure the inside that, or you could just use a ruler to measure the inside. In this case it comes out to round about 44 millimeters. So once you've got that measurement, you type it in here. When you're typing numbers in, be very careful. I'm going to zoom down this just a little bit more. When you type it in, make sure you don't delete the colon at that side or the equals at that side. I believe there is a system on openscad that you can actually get a little drop down box, and you can actually just put the values into the boxes. Maybe I'll experiment that later on. It sounds like a good idea. I've not used that yet. I just tend to do it in here. But the base is the diameter in millimeters of that base. The rim is the length of it, because some of the caps, some of these lamp caps have fairly deep rims in there, and some of them shallow ones. But this lets you choose the depth, and if you want, you could make it really long. You could make it 30 millimeters, an inch, whatever you want. You can actually just adjust the depth of this. But in most cases, I've found that 4 millimeters is ideal, but you can adjust it as desired. In the case of this crystal, the size is the diameter across the points at the base of the crystal here. And once you've put in that size, it will scale up from that. Now the base must be, the size must be bigger than the base, because if it's not, it will produce weird effects. But you can experiment that, you can play with it yourself, and you can see you can't break anything, you'll just get weird shapes. After that, there's another 2 options you have here. Facets equals 6. That's the number of faces on this, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 round. And you can increase that. You could, if you increased it up to say 100 or 360, it would end up perfectly round, like a lamp. But I wouldn't recommend that, because it takes a long time to process when you do that, and also it doesn't look as good as a nice faceted gleaming crystal. The other thing you have is scaling. Scaling is the base diameter that you've typed in, the one that's called size, and the length, and it basically scales it up by that. You can just leave that alone if you want, but if you want, you can change that scaling. I'm going to zoom out here because I'm getting all over the place here. But you can change the scaling if you wish to 2, and it'll make the crystal a lot taller. It's just, feel free to experiment. I've left for these two, I've made a note of the default values, just so that if you mess up, you can get back to a normal sort of scenario. Once you have changed those variables, to see the result, you've got a high-speed build button, which is basically a little box with 2 double arrows, 2 little chevrons under it, and it's up there, but it's also down here at the bottom. When you click that, it will instantly show a representation of that you can actually zoom and twist and move around, play with it. You know, it's just, once you played this for a while, you'll get the hang of it. That's the only way to actually do it. Once you're happy, then you want to build the STL file. To do that, the box has a little hourglass in it, because it takes a bit longer, especially if you use a lot of facets. But for these shapes, these simple shapes, it doesn't take that long, even a low power computer. So you've got the box with the hourglass up here, and you've got another one down here. Click that, wait, it will just, if you've enabled sound, I don't know if it's enabled by default, can't remember, but it will go doodling when it's finished, and your shape will appear. And when you scroll around it, you'll see it's there in much more detail, so to speak. And you can then click STL, and it will save that as the STL file that you can then put into Cura or whatever your 3D printer uses, and you can convert it into the file for 3D printing. I used Cura and I used an FL Sun Q5 for these. It was very effective. But there are 3 scripts down below, the 3 shapes. Just put one script in at a time, play about with it, and just have fun. Okay, the next bit of the video is about hacking these lamps to reduce their power, because if you use them as they are with these caps, they get pretty hot, and I'm wondering if it could actually soften the plastic and cause the caps to pop out or melt, which wouldn't necessarily be good. So I'm just going to pause momentarily, get in the next drawing, and we'll take a look at that. Okay, now let's hack the lamps. And the good news is that I've found that the cheapest, crappiest lamps tend to be the easiest to hack, because they've integrated everything so much that all the circuitry is on, well, most of the circuitry is in the top layer of the circuit board, and it just makes it easier to modify. I got these lamps from the local ShopRite supermarket. It cost about £6 for 4. You can also get similar styles of lamps from Poundland, dollar stores. They're just a really common mass-produced lamp, and they all have the one thing in common. This says 9 watt equals 60 watts. These actually measure about 8 watts. They all have one thing in common. They really, really grill the LEDs. And this is not good, because firstly, it means it gets very hot, and that's not so great for our plastic housings we're putting on them. The other thing is that because it's grilling the LEDs, it's basically, they're balanced. It's these lamps that are balanced to fail quickly for, you know, ongoing sales of lamps, basically. And it means they run less efficiently, and they just get very, very hot and have short life. But the construction of these is this. You have the circuit board in an aluminium cup, and the aluminium cup is designed to take the heat away. It's an aluminium core circuit board, and inside this you've got a couple of connections coming from the back, either Edison screw or bayonet cap, coming up to this circuit board and just poking through these little connectors here. One of them will have a resistor in series just as a sort of fuse. The power comes on, it goes through a bridge rectifier, it goes to a smoothing capacitor, and then a current regulating chip. This is a really simple linear current regulator chip. It uses 2 resistors in parallel to measure the current flowing through the LEDs, and it uses the voltage across these, typically about 0.6 to 0.7 volts, to actually regulate the current, because this chip basically acts like a variable resistor that just measures the voltage across that, and it just adjusts to keep the current constant at that level. Very, very simple. Also very easy to hack. Because they use 2 parallel resistors to fine-tune the value, it just makes it easier than using one resistor where it would go up in quite significant steps. To fine-tune the value, they put 2 dissimilar values, sometimes 2 identical values, sometimes 2 dissimilar, hopefully close values. Sometimes you get a very high value and a very low value, and the downside of that is that it's either going to make a very slight difference to the power, or it's going to make an extreme power. But there's ways around that. You can actually also solder a new resistor across these. Soldering is hard on these aluminium circuit boards because they take the heat away. They're designed to take the heat away to that heat sink at the edge. So trying to melt the solder in these is difficult. Normally in the factory, they would place this on a platen and the whole thing would be heated up. But you can't really do that when it's mounted in the housing like this. So I've found the best way to adjust this is to remove the lowest value resistor, leaving the highest value resistor here. And by doing that, you cut the current down, but the easiest way to do that is to actually use a pair of snips and to actually cut the physical resistor off, just break the top off it. These are basically pieces of ceramic. I'm going to zoom down a bit here. These are bits of ceramic with a conductive film on top that is the resistance, and then the solder connections at the end. If you can get the snips on and you can just burst the top off that to remove part of the black or all of the black, then it removes that resistor from the circuit. Let me demonstrate that. So I'm going to show you actually. I'm going to show you the power of this lamp first, then I'm going to break one of those resistors off. So let's bring in the hoppy meter and a socket. So this lamp is supposed to be 9 watts, but I think it's going to be 8 watts. Let's plug it in. Noting that the front of the circuit board is live, it's very, very bright. It says 8.4 watts. Okay, Another thing worth mentioning about these, as these chips get hot, they self-regulate the current down if the light gets too hot. So that was about 8.5 watts. I'm going to cut out this 43 ohm resistor by simply getting my snips or side cutters, putting them on like that, and just cracking that resistor off. That's it. You don't have to even remove the whole thing. I mean, you can if you wish. I would just leave the ceramic on. Tap it down to actually get rid of this stuff that might be still floating around the circuit board. And this lamp will now have gone from being 8 watts. You can see it's lower intensity. It's gone down to 3.7 watts. That's just the easiest way to hack these lamps. And that reduction is going to have multiple effects. I'm just going to zoom out here. That reduction is going to reduce the heat on the LEDs. I'll just put these out of the way. It's going to reduce the heat in the LEDs. It's going to increase the longevity of the LEDs, and it's going to increase the efficiency of the LEDs marginally, which means it's a win-win situation. It's going to last a lot longer and run cooler, and yeah, lots of advantages. Once you've done that, before creating your 3D object here, you want to just take a screwdriver with the narrow blade so you don't damage the LEDs and just run it round that glue there and basically just slice the glue off. Be careful not to damage the LEDs. If you break one of them, they're all in series and that breaks the whole circuit. Incidentally, these are specialist LEDs just designed for these lamps. They have multiple chips in them to actually, because it's much easier and cheaper with this circuitry to have the LEDs almost matching the main supply voltage. So in the case of this, it's a 240 volt supply we have locally. It goes up to over 300 volts when you rectify and smooth it due to the peak of the sine wave. So these LEDs will have a high enough voltage to match, say, probably about 300 volts, and that just leaves very little to drop across this chip. It's just the way they do things. It's a fairly efficient approach, and it's a cheap approach. I think cheap is what's actually winning here. But you remove the glue, and then you get those calipers, as I mentioned before, and you measure the inside of the housing, and then you 3D print your cover, and then you can put it in. And if you want, there is one other thing you can do. You can solder a resistor across here. If you remove these two resistors and you can flow some solder onto these, you can tack another standard 1/4 watt resistor across there. And I used the 1000 ohm resistor in this one for that, a 1K resistor, and the power of this light dropped to 0.2 watts. If I bring this socket back up again, you'll see that although it's only 0.2 watts, for decorative purposes, it's amply bright. You know, in a dark room at night, just in the corners of decoration, even the really big cover, this is going to be very visual. It's going to be attractive. It's going to be a big glowing crystal. And the power consumption, you might as well just leave it on 24/7 at that point, because it's so low, the LEDs are going to last virtually forever. The power is so low, it's going to cost you pennies a year to run. It's just, yeah, just leave it on as a permanent decorative ornament, because with that modification of the 1K resistor, the current drops really low. But there we go. That's the project. Try it out. Tell me how you get on. See how well, if you get on the scripts, feel free to modify the scripts if you wish. And yeah, have fun building these illuminated crystals out of cheap lamps. It's quite a pleasant thing to do, and the end results are actually really visually very nice.